What does your cat think you are? You feed it. You clean up after it. You've built your whole home around its comfort. And in all the years you've lived together, you have never once known the answer to a simple question. What does your cat actually think you are? Because here's the unsettling part. Whatever the answer is, it's almost certainly not owner. It may not even be human. To really understand it, we have to start with the animal your cat is so often compared to, and so completely unlike the dog. When we domesticated the dog, tens of thousands of years ago, we fundamentally rebuilt it. We took the wolf and, over countless generations, turned it into an animal that looks up at us, that studies our faces, that reads our pointing fingers and our moods, that is desperate, genuinely, biologically desperate to understand and to please us. A dog treats you as something above it, something to follow. When a dog is confused, it looks to you for the answer. We shaped it, deliberately, into a creature that sees us as its leader and its whole world. Now here's the thing about the cat. Almost none of that happened. Cats essentially domesticated themselves. Around 10,000 years ago, when humans started storing grain, the grain drew rodents, and the rodents drew wildcats. The friendliest, boldest cats, the ones that could tolerate people, got a free buffet and simply moved in. But we never bred them to serve us, or herd, or guard, or obey. We barely bred them at all. And the result is staggering. Your cat is, genetically and behaviorally, almost identical to its wild ancestor. It is a wild animal that has agreed, on its own terms, to live in your house. Which brings us to the great mystery of the cat's inner world, and the theory that best explains it. It comes from decades of watching how cats actually behave toward us, and it goes like this. Your cat treats you, more or less, as another cat. Not as a god, not as a master, not even as a different species, but as a big, clumsy, strangely hairless cat that it has generously decided to get along with. And once you know to look for it, the evidence is hiding in plain sight in almost everything your cat does to you every single day. Start with how it greets you. When a friendly cat approaches another cat it likes, it walks up with its tail held straight up, often with a little curl at the top. That upright tail is a specific, friendly cat-to-cat signal. And what does your cat do when you come home, or when you fill the bowl? It trots over with its tail straight up. It's greeting you with the exact body language it would use for a fellow cat it's fond of. Not a modified, special human greeting, but the ordinary vocabulary of one cat being warm to another. Then there's the rubbing. When your cat winds around your legs and presses its face and side against you, it feels like simple affection, and it is, but it's a very specific kind. Cats that live together and get along do this to each other constantly. They rub to mix their scents together into a shared group smell, a kind of communal signature that says we're the same family, we belong to each other. When your cat rubs on you, it is quite literally trying to make you smell like part of its group. It is enrolling you into its family by scent, treating you as one of its own. And the slow blink, that lazy, half-closed, drowsy blink your cat gives you across the room. Among cats, holding a soft, slow blink is a signal of trust and ease. It's the opposite of the hard stare that means threat. Studies have actually shown that cats are more likely to slow blink back at a human who slow blinks first. So when your cat catches your eye and slowly closes and opens its eyes, it's not random sleepiness. It's using the gentlest phrase in the cat language, I feel safe with you, and offering it to you in exactly the form it would offer another cat. Even the gifts fit the theory in a slightly humbling way. When your cat brings you a dead mouse or a toy and drops it at your feet, one likely explanation is unervingly telling. In the wild, mother cats bring prey back to kittens who can't yet hunt for themselves. Your cat watches you, this enormous creature that has, as far as it can tell, never once caught a mouse in its life, that somehow gets food from a strange cold box. And it may simply have concluded that you are a hopeless hunter who needs the help. It's not an insult. In its way, it's care. It's provisioning a family member who clearly can't provision itself. But here's where the theory gets even stranger and more wonderful, because your cat isn't only treating you like a cat. It's also invented something entirely new just for you. Listen to cats out in the world, feral colonies. cats among cats. Adult cats almost never meow at each other. The meow is a kitten's cry, and most cats grow out of it. But your cat meows at you constantly. Somewhere along the way, cats worked out that we humans are hopeless at reading scent and body language, but we respond to sound. So they kept the meow and aimed it at us. Your cat has developed a personal vocal language, refined over its life, specifically to communicate with you. So sit with what that actually means. Your cat is using its ancient, unchanged cat-to-cat social toolkit on you. The tail, the rub, the blink, which suggests it genuinely does file you as something like a very large, very odd cat. And yet it has also created a brand new channel, the meow, that it uses with no other cat, only with humans, which means on some level, it also knows you're not a cat at all and has adapted to you specifically. It is holding both ideas at once. You are family, treated in the old familiar language, and you are also the strange exception, worth inventing a new language for. And that combination points at the real answer to our question, the one that's easy to miss because we're a little insulted by it. We often feel the cat is aloof, that it doesn't love us the way a dog so obviously does. But look again at what it's actually doing. The dog was built to adore us. It almost has no choice. The cat wasn't built for us at all. It came to us as a fully wild thing, owing us nothing, and it chose to treat us with the same signals of trust, affection, and family that it reserves for its own kind. Its love isn't the love of a subject for a master. It's the love of an equal. That's the quiet gift hiding inside the big clumsy cat theory. When your dog loves you, it's loving upward, at a leader it was shaped to need. When your cat rubs your leg and greets you tail up and slow blinks at you from across the room, it isn't looking up at you, and it isn't looking down. It's looking across, treating you, a member of a completely different species, as one of its own. It never bowed to us. It simply, on its own terms, decided we were family. So the next time your cat winds around your ankles or blinks at you slow and sleepily, remember that you're not being tolerated by a small, ungrateful roommate. You're being spoken to in the oldest, warmest language your cat has, the one it uses only for the cats it trusts, by a wild animal that was never obligated to love anyone and chose you anyway. You may never fully know what your cat thinks you are, but whatever it is, it decided you were one of them, and it's been telling you so in its own quiet language this whole time.